Read extended excerpts from the statements that women's rights attorney Lisa Bloom and New York businesswoman Jill Harth gave in response to the Hill story on payments arranged and contemplated to Donald Trump. Donald John Trump House Democrat slams Donald Trump Jr. for serious case of amnesia after testimony. Skier Lindsey Vonn, I don't want to represent Trump at Olympics. Poll 4 in 10 Republicans think senior Trump advisors had improper dealings with Russia. More accusers during the 2016 election. Excerpts from statement of attorney Lisa Bloom concerning her discussions arranging donors to support women considering coming forward with allegations against Donald Trump during the 2016 election. As I'm sure you can appreciate, as an attorney I am bound by confidentiality laws and therefore cannot answer some of your questions, but the following should address most. You'll recall the very polarized and hostile atmosphere of the 2016 presidential election. Emotions were running high, there were incidents of violence on the campaign trail, and threats of violence were a real and abiding concern. Nonetheless, several brave women came forward to accuse Donald Trump of harassment and assault, starting with Jill Harth, the first woman to bravely speak out months before the Access Hollywood recording was released. Jill referred a second Trump accuser to the Bloom firm, Trump woman accuser to TW2. Other women came forward as well. By October 2016, I was working with 4 accusers. In keeping with our usual practice, we vetted the women who accused Trump. For example, our vetting of the woman that we, in good faith, believe is TW2, included conducting a background check, asking her for photos which she said she had to corroborate her story or portions thereof, review of her social media, factual research, and following up with 2 other women identified by TW2 to corroborate material parts of her story. To date, TW2 has not retracted her story, and I still believe her when she says Donald Trump assaulted her. Sexual assault victims are typically afraid and often change their minds about coming forward. This is particularly true when the accused is wealthy and powerful, because victims realize that they are putting their own reputation and ability to earn a living on the line should they decide to take on powerful men. Multiply that well-founded fear times 1000 in this case. So it was understandable that TW2 very much wanted to tell her story one day, changed her mind the next day, and on and on. My job is not to make that big decision for a victim, but to advise her of the pros and cons and help her reach her goal. In fact, after we vetted TW2 and agreed to represent her, we advised her of the risks of speaking out, and she decided that she did not want to come forward. We respected her decision and parted ways. I wished her the best and she sent me words of appreciation. Ultimately, 2 women were willing to go on the record and 2 were not. On November 3, 2016, Jane Doe accuser 3 agreed to speak at a press conference at my office. During the lead-up to the press conference and after, she and I received multiple death and rape threats. Moments before the press conference was scheduled to begin, Jane Doe backed out. I understood why. She was afraid. My heart went out to her, as did many who could understand her fear and pain. Of course, I respected her decision and helped her remove herself from the narrative. At that point, several donors came forward with offers of financial help to ensure the safety of the women who would come forward. I was happy to relay those offers of funds for relocation to a safer community and round-the-clock security. After the aborted November 3, 2016, press conference involving Jane Doe, TW2 contacted me again and said that she had changed her mind again and wanted to come forward. She said that she was moved by the plight of Jane Doe and wanted to speak out. She asked to be compensated, citing concerns for her safety and security, and over time, increased her request for financial compensation to $2 million, which we told her was a non-starter. We did relay her security concerns to donors, but none were willing to offer more than a number in the low 6 figures, which they felt was more appropriate to address her security and relocation expenses. After TW2 agreed to come forward again, she again changed her mind several times. We patiently talked her through the pros and cons. Ultimately, we flew to Virginia to meet with her. She was not in the hospital. She said she was at home. We invited her to meet with us at the hotel restaurant and she accepted. Ultimately, After another heartfelt discussion, she decided that she did not want to come forward, and we respected her decision. I can say unequivocally that we did not communicate with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton grossly blasts Democrats over unwillingness to probe Clinton. GOP lawmakers cite new allegations of political bias in FBI top intel. Dem Trump Jr. refused to answer questions about Trump Tower discussions with Father Mono anyone from her campaign. We did not communicate with the Democratic National Committee or Perkins Coie law firm about the Trump accusers. Your questions seem to imply that we were trying to use the prospect of donor funds to entice women to come forward against their will. Nothing can be further from the truth. Some clients asked for small photo licensing fees while others wanted more to protect their security. During this difficult and stressful time for everyone involved, more than one Trump accuser, including TW2, sent me many kind appreciative messages thanking me for the sensitivity that I showed them and the time that I spent helping them weigh their options. Months later, TW2 sent me more appreciative texts and even a personal gift handmade by her daughter. We are a small, private civil rights firm. We do many cases pro bono for a fee or significantly reduced rate. Our pro bono fee agreements generally say that in the unlikely event the client earns money from photo licensing or media deals, we take 1/3. This rarely happens, and when it does, it's generally only a few $1,000s. But it seems fair to us to have this possibility to help us make payroll, pay rent, insurance and other significant business costs, and our clients are happy to agree to it. I have spent my career representing women and some men who have been the victims of sexual harassment and assault. I am gratified at the change we are experiencing as a society, where we are seeing enough and where people who have not been victims are